Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Between the Trees, a Draft Day Sports College Basketball 18 Dynasty. We've just wrapped up the conference season, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the how we did and any sort of team news and stuff we got going on, and then we're just kind of take a look around the league as we prepare for the conference tournament to start here. Let's go ahead and hop into the game. And as you see, we haven't had the best run of luck in the conference this year, unfortunately. Part of that's our team just didn't really come together as much as we thought our scouts thought we would, which is kind of not surprising considering our scouting's pretty poor. Let's go ahead and take a look at first the team leaders and everything. I know you can see them on there, but so as you see, we started off losing. Remember, we lost that East Shore game. We played that. We lost just by 2 to Coppin State, which was actually a pretty good result because Coppin State was one of the better teams. It's actually the best team in the conference. Spoiler alert there. Then I actually thought we'd turn it around. We started. We ended up winning 4 in a row. I believe the Norfolk State game was the one. It might have been after this. No, the Norfolk State game. I started playing John Murray at point instead of Rollerson. Because really, Rollerson was not really doing a whole lot, and Murray at least was shooting better. So I kind of decided to start putting him in there. As I said, we then won the next 2 as well by pretty convincing margins. Then we lost the 2 away games there against Bethel Cookman and North Carolina A&T, which is, again, they're away games. I figured we're not going to be very... Even my best teams have never been amazing at away. I mean, they've been good, but, you know, they were like way above, or you know, at least the same level of team, whatever. Anyways, they're really good teams most of the time, especially early on. We're kind of struggle on the road, so that didn't really surprise me. I would like to win those games, but we were at least winning the home games. We beat Howard, we beat A&M. The problem came around February there. As you see, we then lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and I really thought we were going to lose that Hampton game, but luckily won that, so at least finished the season out on a win going into the conference tournament, but that kind of sunk our chances there. Before this, we're hanging around top 4. We probably didn't have a chance of catching Coppin State, but, you know, we at least look okay. We might be able to finish in the top 3. We're going to have an okay season, and then we just dropped a turd. So, yeah, that wasn't great, but what can you do? It's the first season, so I'm hoping next season it gets a lot better. I'm hoping Seals is pretty decent. Our freshmen get better, and we could actually bring in a couple really good freshmen. So, or that, or get some guys off the transfer market, which really won't help us next year or help us the year after, but still. So we'll go ahead and take a look. So what that ended up taking us down to is the 11th best team in the MEAC. As you can see here, Coppin State finished first with a 1-game lead over North Carolina A&T Aggies. And Coppin State's big thing was they did pretty well away. They're also our highest RPI team in the entire league. Florida A&M Rattlers finished third with 10-6 and 16-11 overall. Another team that played pretty well away, and they're at a 132 RPI, which is their next best. And then everyone else is kind of, you know, we got 164, and after that, we're all just kind of... As you see, most after that, too, we all pretty much just drop off. I think the only other good road team, it looks like, was Morgan State. Everyone else just... And kind of Howard, but not as good. But yeah, a lot of teams are just miserable on the road. Yeah, so rounding that off, you got South Carolina State Bulldogs at 9-7, North Alabama Lions 9-7. They finished 13-14 and 14-13. Morgan State Bears 8-8, 13-14, and on down the list. We ended up, as I said, we ended up at 11 with a 7-9 record in the conference, 12-15 overall. We went 8-4 at home, but 4-11 on the road, and had a 247 RPI. Yeah. At least we weren't Norfolk State. Norfolk State finished 6-21, going 1 of 14 on the road, and Savannah State, who finished 9 of 18, going 2 of 12 on the road. So it could always be worse. We'll go ahead and take a look at our roster. As you can see over here, we got a team leader, so we'll start over there. It was, of course, Oldaware, which we had kind of been for a while. Those point total dropped off quite a bit. Murray led us in assists with 2.6. I think he was pretty close to Rollerson there. Neither of our point guards were really good at assists. And I'm not sure if that's a lot with just how we play. We'll kind of watch as we play through the game here. If that's just our sort of triangle-y dump it to the big man style that's affecting that, or if this was just an outlier of bad point guard play. Marks led us with 1.3 blocks per game. I'd like to see him get that higher to even closer to a 2. And Ides with just the 0.9 steals. Bolton also fell off on steals. He did lead us in rebounds at 8.3 though. Stat comparison wise, we were below average in points per game, but we play a slow tempo. Assists were horrible, which is not a really good number when you play a slow tempo. We're 308th in the entire NCAA in assists. Rebounds are pretty good at 51. 51st in the we were above it. We were one of the better rebounding teams in the NCAA. 34.6 rebounds per game. And I'm kind of happy about that. I'll definitely yeah, I mean we focus a lot on rebounding, so that definitely helps. Blocks, we were 239, we were below average in that. We need to get that up. Steals, we were below average in that. That I'm less concerned about. I'd like more steals, but again, like I said, my gameplay, my idea of for the gameplay is I'm not, well, I can't really think about it. We're not really too focused on getting steals and turnovers. If we get them, they're nice, but we're not as focused on that as just playing good defense in general and getting those blocks and missed shots. And yeah, turnovers, we turned the ball over way too much, which we kind of saw was going to be an issue, but yeah, that was, no. That does not help us. When you can't get assists, you aren't a great scoring team, and you turn the ball over a lot. Yeah, that's recipe for disaster there. Our defense played alright. Again, though, we play a slow tempo, so it's hard to accurately judge that. And I do believe there are advanced metrics we can actually look at that will show us, pace adjusted, how we actually were. Assists, we gave up 15.8 assists, which, yeah, I don't really care so much about that. Rebounds, we out-rebounded our opponents heavily, which is really good. We were top 16 in opponent rebounds, which is great. We gave up too many blocks, gave up too many steals, and our opponents didn't turn the ball over enough. Looking through the rest of our stats, we'll go ahead and sort by game started. You see, let's start with our point guards, which were Murray and Rollerson. Rollerson started out the season, we switched to Murray. Rollerson could not shoot for his life. Going shooting maybe 37% from the field, 1.7 on 4.5 attempts. He was a 280 3-point shooter, making barely one for every three. Taking 3 attempts and barely making one of them each game. There we go. Sucked at getting to the line. Rebounding didn't really do much. He'd get about 1 rebound a game, about 2.4 assists. Couldn't even get a steal a game. Turned the ball over 2.5 times. An assist turnover ratio of 1. Was good on fouls. And yeah, unsurprisingly, only had about 4 points a game in his 19 minutes. He, like I said, Rollerson wasn't looking too hot, so we switched over to Murray. The big thing that changed it to me is I looked at the defense, and Murray's defensive numbers in the advanced looked a little bit better. From what I could tell, I couldn't find a lot of what those stats were, but of the one I could kind of figure out, it looked like he was doing a little bit better. So Murray started the last 13 games. He was shooting 50% from the field. He took more shots as well, but he was shooting about 4 a game, shooting about 7 a game, making 4 of those for 50%. 38% from 3, which is really nice to see. He didn't shoot a ton of them, but got about 3 a game, was making about 1. Yeah, it's kind of funny how that looks. So it looks like, oh, barely, yeah. He was getting to the line a little bit more, not that much more, shooting 77% from there. Had about 2.1 rebounds, so we out-rebounded him. Had 2.6 assists, barely out-assisted him. A little bit more on the steals, more blocks. Same amount of turnovers, same assist-turnover ratio, a little slightly more fouls, but he ended up with about 10 points for us, which isn't too bad. As I said, we're kind of balanced in our scoring. Unfortunately, it was all low scoring. But we definitely had a good balance there. Going to our shooting guard and small forward, Ides, who was our big three-point guy. His three-point numbers tailed off a little bit. He dropped to shooting just 32% on 5 shots. Well, as his field goal percentage was awful, though. He's only shooting 35% on 9.5 shots. He did finish with 10.1 points, 3.1 boards, including about half an offensive rebound. 2.1 assists, so our assists are really spread out, you see, as well, which kind of does make sense in our more slower ball movement system. Almost a steal a game, half a block a game, way too many turnovers, 0.8 assist turnover ratio, and not too many fouls, thankfully. He's played about 25 minutes a game. Over at the small forward position, Metcalf, along with Ides, both played in all our games. He had the most minutes on our team. He couldn't score worth a damn. Shooting just 34% from, well, about 35% from the field on 6 attempts. 30% from a 3-point on about 4 attempts. Didn't really do a good job getting to the line. 3.7 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1 steal, half a block, 2.7 turnovers, a little slightly higher assist turnover ratio, a little less fouls, and again, like I said, just 5.6 points. Our leading point scorer, of course, and rebounder was Boulderer with 11.6. I think he also probably had the most double-doubles, from what I recall. He was shooting pretty good from the field, 51%. 3-point shooting wasn't great, 22%. We kind of started getting him out of that rhythm of shooting threes. He does still take 1 a game, but I can live with that. Just for a little crinkle in the offense. Of course, he's gone after this year, so it doesn't really matter. There's a weird thing, I'm not sure. Didn't do a great job of getting to the line, but when he got there, he was putting up good points. Shooting 86%. 8.3 rebounds. He was our best offensive rebounder with almost 3 a game. That's nice to see. 1.2 assists, which is good out of our power forward. I like seeing the extra assists there. Tied for leading steals with 0.9 as well. Could have gotten more blocks, but he's the power forward, and he's like 6'6", so I'll be alright with that. Turnovers are a little high, but not too bad. 1.3, I'll take that out of my power forward. I'd like to see that a little bit lower, but again, power forward. And didn't have too much issues with fouls, and of course was our leading scorer 11.6. I'd like to see that higher, but that's just me. I like to see both these guys with higher point totals. Marks came on a little bit late. It took him. He was a little slow start, but once he finally started to really get it going there later in the season. Unfortunately, it didn't really help us. He had shot 54% on 8 attempts. Didn't take any threes, thankfully. Terrible three-throw shooter, but I think we kind of expect that going in. Rebounding could have been a lot better. Just 5.4 out of my center. That's like 6'10". That's a little concerning. He needs to definitely improve on the rebounding front. Almost an assist a game, almost a steal a game. 1.3 blocks, again, that's good. He's leading our block guy, but I'd like to see that get up to 2 or even... Well, I could do 2. 3 would be insane, but... That'd be excellent, but I can take 2. Maybe we could pump that up a little bit more next season. 1.1 turnover, 2.3, and 10.9 points. He was the second best scorer. When it comes to the bench mob, Lofton was pretty good off the bench in his limited minutes. He was shooting 64% from the field. He's mostly a post-up guy, but he did pretty well down there. With 13 points, his three-throw shooting could have been better. Didn't really do anything else great. His rebounding was and everything else was But it was a pretty good scorer when he came out on there. Steele, not so much. Steele kind of fell off on us. He was here and there. He could have those moments, but he never really shine like we were hoping he would. He was shooting just 35% from the field. 30% from 3, though, which is nice. I would like to see him shoot more 3s. Didn't really get to line, but again, I'd like to see him shoot more 3s, so I'm not too concerned about that. Rebounding was good. He actually was one of the better guys at getting assists, which is kind of sad. Of course, I just see our bench didn't have a whole lot else going on there, so that's probably not that big of a surprise. Yeah, he was actually a pretty good bench guy. He did good off the bench for us. They're a good 6-man. Got the role we wanted him to play. I got more points, though. That was the only real downside. It's just 6.4 points. During at times, he was playing more minutes than some of our point guards, and they still, Murray was still outscoring him. So, and the rest of the bench, there wasn't really anyone else to talk about. Most of them didn't really play. It was mostly Steele and Lofton. And, of course, Rollerson, who was a starter originally. We'll skip over shooting. Look at our advanced stats real quick. You'll see the only player we were really better at when they were on the floor was Boulderware and Murray. Everyone else we were better when they weren't playing. And Steele. Apparently we would have been better with Steele and Lofton out there. I question that, but apparently. But, you know. Mark's had pretty good efficiency, though. If I'm reading that right. Murray had better efficiency. Lofton had great efficiency. I guess Lofton's rebounding numbers actually weren't that bad looking at his total rebound stats now. Marks are okay. Could have been better. His defensive rebound percentage looks low to me. But that just might be me. Look at those turnover percentages. 30%, 20%, 34%. Oh, that 34%. Oh, God, those look terrible. Because he didn't play much. This is what I was looking at. I was looking at drives stopped, I think that is, and drives faced. I have no idea. Stop percentage, and that's why Murray came in. Because he actually seemed to be, you know, stopping drives compared to Rollerson at the time. Rollerson was crap. To put it easily, he was crap. So that's why we made that change. If you have any idea what the hell the rest of these stats are, other than, you know, charge and tech, I'd be really interested to know, because I have no idea. I tried looking them up, and I couldn't get anything. Injuries, we have none now. We can look at our chemistry. It's good enough. What else do we have to look at? I guess we'll go ahead and go through the team news. Is there any team news? No. No, like I said, other than that, we weren't... Oh, you know what we didn't look at, though, is our... Oops, hit the wrong one. Well, our MEAC leaders. I guess we should do team news first and then do that, shouldn't we? I mean, I was already on that page, but whatever. No one said I was good at this. So there's a lot of team news. Well, not really. It's mostly about recruiting, and there is great recruiting news. I'm really excited. I'm hoping it works out. So you notice, first off, we offered Eli a scholarship. More importantly, you notice, his SAT scores, he actually qualified. I mean, only for like our school and 3 others that can actually take an 800 SAT, but he qualified. So I'm really hoping that we end up landing him, and he actually does sign an LOI. That his GPA doesn't stop him signing an LOI. Because holy crap, if we can bring him in and get his grades up so he can actually play, he is going to be amazing. We got a couple other people we're looking at. We're still working Gunn, though I'm mildly tempted to take his scholarship off because he's meh. I mean, our scout keeps going in because he's great. No, he's not. He's great. He's great. I do like because he's Delaware is part of the reason I'm kind of iffy on that. The main reason I'd be doing it is because look at all these other kids we have that have horrendous SAT scores that are actually now kind of interested. We have Davey, who we're trying to get in. The 2.4, he has a 2.4 GPA, 870 SAT. But he's a B scorer, B passer. Ball handling's terrible. That's not going to help our turnover rate, I know. But A rebounder, A defender, no athleticism, but A overall. B steals, A shooting, A shooting inside, B shooting outside, D three-throw shooter, D shot blocker. Holy crap, but I love that kid as my power forward. I have him. There's this. He's not really. Stewart's the other one that's interested right now with a 2.2 850. Again, they'll host their top school, which is the only thing that concerns me is that they're not going to come. Beat score DDACFFAADCA. He's 6'7". He's little. His size is the only concern I have, but I was thinking about moving him to like a forward position. Like small forward at 6'7", he'd be really interesting to get in. And this kid from Missouri with the 820, the 2.1 GPA though, so he can actually play. His defense could be better, but and he's a little small. He'd probably move to point, but especially because of his passing and ball handling. B scorer, B passing, B ball handling. C steal, A outside shooter though, A athleticism. B three-throw shooting. His overall is actually kind of low. I didn't really. I think it was higher before, and I just maybe in my hurry yesterday I wasn't paying attention to that. Milford would be the other one if he gets interested in us. Or one of these two. These two are being kind of stingy about an interest, so I'm not sure we'll actually pull him. Milford, because he has his GPA is also terrible, but look at that for a center. 6'9", so he could possibly play center for us. He's a little small at center, but for what we want anyways, he's small for center, but B scoring, B passing, F ball handling, A rebound, A defense, B shot blocking, C steal, A in, A out, C free throw, D athleticism, A overall. Yeah, I'd love to get him. If I could somehow land Eli, Davey, and Milford, and you see I gave Davey a scholarship, that would be an impressive looking team. We would have, yeah, Eli at the point, you'd have Davey at power forward, Milford at center. We'd have 2 A+ rebounders, 2 A+ well, 2 A rebounders, 2 A defenders, 2 big passing bigs. Of course, these two may both play power forward, but. And then, of course, you have Seals, who's coming in, could play off the bench. He's also a B rebounder, B blocker. Yeah, we could have a pretty nice team if those two will come in. We'll see if they will, but that could make a nice team. Of course, if we could get Wright, we could have an even better team. If we paired Eli, Wright, and, say, Davey. Anything about that, you'd have Eli, your scoring point guard, who plays decent defense. You'd have Wright come in, who's a 6'5". We'd move him to shooting guard, but he can still pass the ball. He can play good. He could be your secondary ball handler. Shoot from the outside. Not as good at the other stats, but he'd be our score. He could be like our secondary scorer and ball handler. From the outside, at least, our outside secondary. Then you'd have. I don't know who would play small forward yet. That'd be the only issue we'd have, but you'd have Davey at the power forward position, and Seals at the center position. I could go for that. That'd be a nice looking team. Again, the likelihood is that if that did happen, he'd be gone after a year. He'd probably be gone after a year. But I'll take a year of that. That's all we need, is just to be the new version of one and done, instead of they play 1 year and go to the NBA, they play 1 year and transfer to a good school. I'll take it, though. That's the whole point of this, is that's why we wanted to play a team with really bad academics. I just want to try that strategy out and see if it actually works, this sort of alternative one and done scenario. So we're going to see how that goes. But I'm really excited about that, especially Eli. We've been kind of wanting Eli that entire time, and I was just hoping he'd make that SAT score, and I didn't think he would, but he did. So now it's hopeful that he can actually sign with us. We'll see how it goes. Worst comes to worst, we're going to be really active in the transfer market. So, anywho, so let's get back to what I wanted to go look at. First of all, well, we can see here our association leaders for the conference. North Carolina led the way in points per game, followed by North Carolina A&T, and Florida A&M was third. In assists, Florida A&M Rattlers led the way with the most assists, followed by North Carolina A&T, Coppin State finishing third. Rebound-wise, we were top of the MEAC in rebounds with 34.6. Bethel Cookman was second with 32, and South Carolina State with 31.1. Steals, the Rattlers led the way with 9 steals. Coppin State second with 8.5. Morgan State at third with 8.1. And when it came to blocks, North Carolina A&T led it with 7.2 blocks. Coppin State had 6.8, and regular North Carolina had 5.7. What else do we have? We're going to take a look at the leaders for the MEAC. Our top 50 in per game stats here in the regular season for the MEAC. The leading scorer for in the MEAC was, as we can see, I've actually looked down here, I finally put it up here, was Greg Arnold for Coppin State, who finished with 17.5 points. He's a guard. He's a 6'1" shooting guard from Riverdale, Maryland. He's senior. And he led the way with 17.5 points, 3.1 assists, 3.7 rebounds. Following him, you had Roy Bass, who of Bethel Cookman Wildcats, a 6'5" junior point guard from North Miami Beach, Florida. He finished with 17 points a game. Rounding the top 5, you have Donald Anderear, the 6'9" junior center from Hayes, North Carolina, playing for the North Carolina Central Eagles. And you had 15.5 points coming in fourth. Tony Dixon, a 6-foot shooting guard, or senior shooting guard from Wilmington, North Carolina, playing for the North Carolina A&T Aggies. And finally, rounding out the top 5, you have the point guard, Brian Jones, junior point guard from Bradenton, Florida, also playing for Bethel Cookman. Bethel Cookman had two on this list. That's pretty good for them. Nice balanced attack there. You have, actually, that 2 point guards, which is kind of interesting. We go to rebounds per games, and Boulder led the way with 8.3. He's the 6'6 senior power forward from Wilmington, Delaware, playing for the Delaware State Hornets. Yay! Go Hornets. Number 2 was Dante Stringer, the power forward for Savannah State Tigers. He's a 6'8 senior, and he had 7.8. Anderer back again with 7.4 rebounds. He had a pretty good season overall there. Number 4 was Roberto Hammock, a 6'10 senior power forward, played for the Florida A&M Rattlers, and he was from Chiefland, Florida. And finally, rounding out the top 5 was DeMar Baker, a 6'8 senior power forward from Florence, South Carolina, playing for the South Carolina State Bulldogs, the crap team, but he was apparently one of the good things for him. We'll go over to blocks here, where the leading block person, Damon Berland, a guard for the North Carolina Central Eagles, led the way, followed by Chris Cross at Morgan State. Chris Cross, hit the band, huh? He's a center for Morgan State. Mike Arnold was on here as well, third South Carolina State Bulldogs center. Apparently, he was good at rebounds and blocks. Is about the only good thing for South Carolina State. Leonard of Coppin State. Coppin State gets another one on here at 4, and Travis Johnson of North Carolina A&T Aggies rounds out the top 5. When he actually was tied with Marks. Marks tied for top 3 pretty much. Steals, you had Williamson leading the way, the center with 2.3 steals, Dixon with 1.8, and Obering with top 3 with 1.8. And assist leaders, you had Kieran Rells of the South Carolina State Bulldogs with 6.1, Logan of Florida A&M Rattlers with 5.9, Gamble of the North Carolina Central Eagles with 5.3, Lawrence Patterson of North Carolina A&T Aggies with 5.2, and Crosby, a shooting guard, the one shooting guard on this list with 4.9, playing for Howard. Best field goal percentage was Donald Anderer, the center for the North Carolina Central Eagles. Kuhi Fahauya, who played quite a few games, he shot 66%. Anderer shot almost 70% from the field, which is amazing. Foster Onaland shot 65%. Chris Cross shot 65%, as well as Raheem Jones shot 65%. Lofton ended up finishing in 7th with a 64% coming off the bench. That's pretty good. He didn't really play too much. He played a lot. Yeah. We'll look at best 3-point shooters we had were Tony White. Didn't take a ton, but he shot pretty well, shooting 55% from 3. You had Jason Bland shooting 50% from 3. Kettle shooting 49%, Lawrence shooting 47%, and Hines shooting 46%. Boulder was second in double-doubles with 7. Andrew Leonard with 9. Marks had 2. No one had a triple-double. Highest efficiency was Andrew with 22. Dixon 17. Hammock 17. And Boulder with 16.9. We'll hop over into the team stats here. For the MEAC. Sorry, that's not the MEAC. And you can see in the regular stats, as we said, we actually went through most of these, I do believe. Looks like Coppin State and North Alabama attempted the most threes per game. Also made the most threes per game. Best 3-point shooting team was Howard at 40%, followed by South Carolina State at 39, Bethel Cookman at 39, North Carolina A&T at 38. Best 3-throw shooting team was Hampton at shot 77%. Followed by Savannah State, who shot 76%, and Florida A&M, who shot 75%. Oregon State got to the line the most with 21 attempts, followed by Eastern Shore with 20, and A&T with 19.4. So at least that wasn't, you know, us being god awful. They're just really good at getting to the line. And just for the hell of it, Florida A&M attempted the most shots, followed by Central and Coppin State. Defensively, the best defensive team was Coppin State, who only allowed their opponents to shoot 43%. Bethel Cookman and Savannah State followed behind. Best three-point defense was Hampton, followed by Howard, Morgan State, and Florida A&M. No one really defended the three too well other than Hampton. And we'll take a look at miscellaneous. Best rebounding team, of course, was us. We also gave up the least amount of opponent rebounds, followed by North Carolina, or North Alabama, and then Florida A&M. Let's take a look at our advanced stats. Offensive efficiency, North Carolina Central and Coppin was the best, followed by Coppin State, Florida A&M, and North Carolina A&T. We finished, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in offensive efficiency. Tempo-wise, Coppin State played the highest, followed by North Carolina Central and MD Eastern Show, along with A&M. We were actually pretty high in tempo. I'm kind of surprised. I thought we'd be a little bit slower. Defensive efficiency-wise, we 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah, we weren't too bad. I believe lower is better on that. Don't quote me on that one though. It's not really sorting very well, is it? There we go. We're actually supposedly one of the better defensive efficiency if I'm reading that right. I may be reading that wrong. We were actually one of the worst. But it looks like we're actually one of the better. That's nice to see. What else do we want to do? We want to take a look around the league, don't we? As this video I know is getting a little bit long, but we'll try and speed through this real quick. So, you have Maine Black Bears and UMBC, the Cinderellas from this year's tournament, finishing in a tie for first in the American East at 10-6. Maine was 14-13, UMBC 17-10. American Athletic, you have the Yukon Huskies winning that, finishing with 23-4 record overall, 14-2 in conference. Ranked number 8, number 14, Houston Cougars, 21-6, 11-5, came in second. Atlantic 10 has St. Joseph's, who is ranked number 10. They won their conference with a 15-3 record, finishing 24-5. Dayton was second with 19-9, and the Rams finished third at 18-10 overall with 11-7 in the conference. In the ACC, you of course have a bunch of really high-ranked teams, but North Carolina won it over Duke, and they finished overall with a 28-1 record, 17-1 in conference with only just the one loss. Who was their one loss to, I wonder? Carolina Tall here. One. Their one loss was at Pittsburgh. That was the only game they've lost this season. Interesting. Switch back to my Delaware State. Back to my standings here. Atlantic Sun, you had a tie between New Jersey Tech Highlanders and Lipscomb Bison. Lipscomb actually had the higher RPI, a little better on the road, probably why. Lipscomb finished 15-12. New Jersey Highlanders 12-16 overall. Big Ten, Maryland won it over Wisconsin by just one game there. They finished 14-4 in the conference. Wisconsin were 13-5. Both are the only ranked teams in the Big Ten. But they should have 4 teams in, it looks like, right now at least. Maryland was 22-5 overall. Wisconsin 27 overall. Big 12, you had the Sooners winning it over the Cyclones and the Jayhawks, who finished tied for second. Sooners finished 13-5. Cyclones and Jayhawks 12-6. Sooners 27 overall. Iowa State was 22-7 overall, and Kansas was also 27 overall. Big East was won heavily by Villanova, who went 24-3 and 17-1 in the Big East. Montana beat out the Lumberjacks, Vandals, and Portland State, who all tied for second with 13-5. Conference record finishing 17-10 overall, and they won the Big Sky regular season. Gardner Webb and High Point tied for Big South regular season champions at 12-6. Long Beach won the Big West regular season championship with a 13-3 record, 27 overall. You had Northeastern and NC Wilmington tied for the Colonial Athletic title. Rice won the Conference USA by 1 game. Horizon League was won by the Wisconsin Green Bay Phoenix. Brown won the Ivy League. The MAC was won by Ryder. In the Mid-American, the East had a tie between Bowling Green and Kent State, both at 13-3 in the East. And in the West, you had also a tie for first between Eastern Michigan and the Toledo Rockets, 9-7 over there, though. They weren't as good. First, we went to the MEAC. Missouri Valley has the number 25 ranked Southern Illinois Saluki leading the way, 15-3. They were always good in this game. I swear to God, last year, like, Southern Illinois was ridiculous. I had them at one point. They were like 60 prestige or something ridiculous in the Missouri Valley. They were always really good in this game. Mountain West, number 11 Fresno State went 15-3. They won it. In the Northeast, the Long Island Blackbirds, 12-6. Ohio Valley was won by Tennessee State Tigers. And the Pac-12 was won by the Arizona Wildcats. Yay! Arizona State actually finished pretty well. They finished second, going 12-6. Patriot League had a tie between Holy Cross and La Loyola, Maryland. Not that La Loyola, unfortunately. We had in the SEC the Florida Gators win it, going 15-3 and 27-3 overall. They pipped out the Wildcats. Auburn's also ranked, which is kind of neat. Chattanooga ran away with the SoCon, going 17-1. Southland was surprisingly won by New Orleans. Wow, Stephen F. Austin had a really terrible season. It's kind of surprising being Stephen F. Austin. Of course, I mean, you know, this game's not completely accurate as to the teams because we have big players and so on. But Jackson State Tigers won the SWAC. And this was a big surprise. Is ranked 15th is the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, who were 13-1 in the Summit and 25-2 overall. They haven't actually lost at home yet. Sunbelt had a tie between Texas Arlington and UL Monroe. On the West Coast Conference, you had Gonzaga unsurprisingly winning. Santa Clara didn't have a good season, though. That's pretty surprising for them. Pepperdine did, though. Oh, excuse me, not Santa Clara. St. Mary's. Wow. That was dumb. Yeah, St. Mary's had a horrible season. Wow, that's really bad for St. Mary's. And the WAC, you had Texas Rio Grande Valley winning the WAC. I always think of, God, what are they called? I think it's Rio Grande Valley FC, the god-awful team in the USL. So I see that name, that's what I'm thinking of, which just makes it even more surprising. Surprisingly, New Mexico State didn't actually win it. They're usually pretty good in the WAC. Grand Canyon wasn't very good, but that's not too surprising. What else did we want to check? Let's take a look at the Norton Watch real quick. Here's our top 5 is Derek Mapp, a small forward from Duke, who's got 27 points a game, 8 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.6 blocks, 1.3 steals. Second right now is Marquise Thomas, the power forward from Pitt, 18.3 points, 11.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 3.6 blocks, and 1.6 steals. This is kind of what we're looking for a player to get eventually. Or like this guy too. Mason with 22, 12.3 from Mississippi State, the power forward. He's in third. You have Kenyon Riddle, the small forward from Auburn, 25.4, 7.0, 1.6, blah, blah. He's fourth. And Clarence Watson, who the center from Florida, 18.5, 9.2, 3.6 assists. That's another number we'd like to see out of our centers. 1.7 blocks and 1.5 steals. He's rounding out the top 5 in the chase for the Norton. We'll load up the bubble watch here. We can just kind of see how the tournament field looks like right now, primarily who's out. You'll see right now we have projected Duke to get in. We've projected, well, our top 4 projected to be North Carolina, Duke, Pitt, and Florida. Our bottom last few teams in here, you'll see, of course, all our bids. Right now, our teams projected towards our bottom, let's say our bottom 10 or so teams here. are Marquette, Texas Tech, Wichita State, Central Florida, Georgetown, Georgia Tech, Cincinnati, Northwestern, Creighton, Memphis, and Michigan State are the last. Michigan State's the last team in right now of the automatic bids. So far on the sitting outside the bubble, we have UNLV, who's the one of the first four out. Butler is second. Oklahoma State Cowboys surprisingly are pretty high up there for 14-13 record, and then Tulsa sits in the fourth spot there as number 4 on the out. The rest of our bubble teams, of course, we'll just go through all. Dayton at 5, Kent State, Providence, the Lobos. They probably don't have a chance. The Longhorns, BYU, VCU, Pepperdine, NC Wilmington. Pepperdine has no chance, by the way, either. West Virginia, Valpo, Charlotte, St. Bonnie's, Hawaii, Stanford, Milwaukee, UNC Greensboro, LA Lafayette, Cal Irvine. They also have no chance. Mississippi State and Wyoming. And I think that should just about wrap it up. There's probably other stuff we could look at a few other things, but we'll just leave it at that. I think we're getting pretty long as it is. Yeah, we're at 41 minutes. So there you go. So there's sort of our recap of the conference season and kind of looking around the league there. Not a whole lot really good to talk about. We didn't have a great season there overall, but hopefully we can win the conference tournament, make a shock run in the conference tournament, and end up winning it. But I kind of doubt we will. We may get through our first game if we're lucky, but even that's kind of iffy. But the best news is our recruiting-wise is we could have a couple top 100 recruits, which would be great for being Delaware State. I don't think it will happen. I have a feeling we'll get screwed on that, but man, am I really hoping that somehow works out in our favor. We'll see how that goes. I do want to add, I should have added that earlier, but do note that, the fact that we're getting top 100 recruits in our first season as Delaware State. Do note, that hasn't happened yet, but if it does happen, realize that it's very, very uncommon. We're only getting it because of our ungodly horrible academics. Most of the time when you play a bigger school, you don't have a chance. Like my Kansas State team, which has become, it's not a big school yet, but it's become a fairly decent force in the Big 12, and it's still it's tooth and nail, at least as last year's was. It was tooth and nail to try and get anyone that's in the top 100. Unless, of course, again, they didn't qualify, and they were easy to get, but unfortunately they wouldn't sign. But yeah, when you actually play at, schools with real academics, it's actually really hard to land those guys unless you're playing like Arizona or Duke. And even when I've tried like a sample game with Arizona, it wasn't that easy. So don't take this as a good example of the recruiting in the game. I know we're on hard, but yeah, don't take it as a true example of recruiting, because again, we're kind of cheesing a little bit, you could argue. Well, we're not really cheesing. It's logically makes sense, but we're playing at a school that has really terrible academics, so we're able to bring in guys that quite literally can't go to a bigger school. These guys are these 850s and 820s. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is there's almost no schools available to them besides small schools like us, or just not signing. And we'll see if they do sign, but I'll shut up now. So, alright, so this video got a little long, but we got our recap through there, and we'll come back for the game against Morgan State here coming up. And possibly more if we can make a longer run in the tournament, but we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with episode, I think it would be 7B. We may just call them 8 and just go 8A, 8B, 8C for all the conference tournaments. We'll see. Conference games. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll do a conference tournament here and see how long that goes, and then once we get knocked out of that, we'll go to we'll get up to the selection show and show you the selection show. So stay tuned for that. Later.